My wife asked me to take a DNA test. Then she turned white when the results came back. When our son was born, I thought my life was finally complete. My wife, Claire, cried as she held him for the first time. She called him our miracle. For 3 years, we looked like the perfect family. Then one evening, completely out of nowhere, Claire said something that left me speechless. "I think we should do a DNA test." I laughed. "What?" She didn't smile. "I just think it would give us both peace of mind." Peace of mind? I had never cheated on her. Not once. I asked why she would even suggest something like that. She shrugged. "You hear stories online. Babies get switched at hospitals. I just want to be sure." Something about her explanation felt wrong. Still, I agreed. Mostly because I had nothing to hide. 2 weeks later, the results arrived. I opened the envelope while Claire made coffee. The first line made me smile. Probability of paternity: 99.9999%. Exactly what I expected. Then I looked up. Claire wasn't smiling. She was staring at the paper, as if she'd expected a completely different result. Her face lost all its color. The coffee mug slipped from her hands and shattered on the kitchen floor. That's when I realized the DNA test had never been about proving whether I was the father. It was about proving whether she was telling the truth. And suddenly, I had a terrible feeling that my marriage was built on a secret I hadn't even imagined. Update 1. For a few seconds, neither of us said a word. Claire stared at the results. I stared at her. The silence was unbearable. Finally, I laughed. "Well, I guess that's settled." She didn't laugh back. Instead, she whispered, "I need to tell you something." My stomach tightened. "What?" She sat down at the kitchen table. Her hands were shaking so badly she couldn't even hold her coffee cup. "I never doubted you." I frowned. "Then why did you want the test?" She closed her eyes. "Because someone told me our son couldn't be yours." The room went completely silent. I blinked. "What?" She nodded slowly. "About a month ago, I received an anonymous message." She grabbed her phone, opened an old conversation. There was no profile picture, no name, only one message. "Your husband isn't the child's real father." I stared at the screen. "Who sent this?" "I don't know. I blocked the number." But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something still felt wrong. If she'd trusted me, why not simply show me the message? Why secretly ask for a DNA test first? Then another thought crossed my mind. A terrifying one. What if? I looked her straight in the eyes. The test wasn't for me? Claire's breathing stopped for a second. It was only a second. But I noticed. She quickly looked away. "What do you mean?" I leaned forward. "Are you sure? Our son wasn't switched at the hospital?" She looked back at me, confused. "No." "Then why were you so terrified?" She didn't answer. Instead, she started crying. Real tears. The kind that come from fear. Not relief. Fear. That's when I realized something. Claire wasn't scared that I wasn't the father. She was scared that the DNA test might expose a completely different secret. One she'd been hiding for years. Then she whispered 6 words that changed everything. "There's something I never told you." My heart started pounding. Because deep down, I knew whatever came next was going to change our family forever. Update 2. Couldn't breathe. Claire kept crying. I kept waiting. Finally, she looked at me and whispered, "Before I met you, I was engaged." I nodded slowly. "I know that. You told me." She shook her head. "No. I told you we broke up. I never told you how." My chest tightened. "Go on." She stared at the floor. 3 months before our wedding, my fiancé disappeared." I frowned. "What do you mean disappeared?" "He packed a suitcase, left a note, and vanished. No goodbye. No explanation. Nothing. For years, I believed he simply didn't love me anymore. Then, last month, someone sent me another anonymous message. Not the one about the DNA test. A different one. She opened her phone again. This message was even shorter. Ask your husband why Michael disappeared. I felt my blood run cold. What? Claire looked at me. I thought it was crazy. I thought someone was trying to destroy our marriage. But then another message arrived. She handed me the phone. Your husband knows the truth. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Claire. I've never even met Michael. I didn't even know his name until now. She nodded. I know. But after reading those messages, I started wondering, what if my entire past was a lie? I rubbed my face. None of this made any sense. Someone was manipulating her, trying to make her distrust me, trying to destroy our marriage. But why? Then another memory suddenly came back to me. 3 weeks earlier, a man had approached me in the grocery store parking lot. He asked, "You're Ethan?" I said yes. He looked at me for a few seconds, then simply walked away. At the time, I thought he had mistaken me for someone else. Now, I wasn't so sure. I described him to Claire. Tall, dark hair, small scar above his eyebrow. The moment I mentioned the scar, Claire's face turned white. She covered her mouth. Oh my God! What? She whispered only one name. Michael. I felt every hair on my arms stand up. Because according to Claire, Michael had disappeared 6 years ago. So if I had really seen him, why had he been watching me? And why hadn't he spoken to either of us? One question kept echoing inside my head. If Michael was alive, who wanted us to believe he wasn't? Update 3. Couldn't sleep that night. Every question led to another. If Michael was alive, why had he spent 6 years hiding? And why was someone trying to convince Claire that I had something to do with it? The next morning, I drove back to the grocery store. It sounded ridiculous. I knew the chances of finding the man again were almost zero. But I had to try. I walked inside and asked the store manager if they had security cameras facing the parking lot. They did. After explaining that I was trying to identify someone who may have been following my family, he agreed to review the footage with me. About 20 minutes later, there he was, the same man, standing beside a black pickup truck. He looked directly toward my car. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and took a picture of me. Not once, several times. My stomach turned. Can you zoom in on the license plate? I asked. The image wasn't perfect, but we could read enough of it. Later that afternoon, I paid for a vehicle history report. The truck wasn't registered to Michael. It belonged to a woman named Rebecca Lawson. Neither Claire nor I recognized the name. Then something strange happened. That evening, someone knocked on our front door. When I opened it, no one was there. Only a small brown envelope lying on the welcome mat. No return address. Inside were 3 photographs. The first showed Claire and Michael together years ago. The second showed Michael standing outside what looked like a courthouse. The third made my heart stop. It was a recent photo, taken just weeks earlier. Michael, standing outside my office building, watching me. Folded inside the envelope was a handwritten note. Ask him why he never came looking for me. Claire read the note over my shoulder. Her hands started shaking again. I don't understand. I thought he abandoned me. I stared at the photographs. None of this felt like revenge anymore. Felt personal, deliberate, as if someone wanted us to uncover something we'd never even known existed. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice spoke quietly. Ethan, I think it's time we finally met. Before I could say a word, he added one sentence that changed everything. I'm Michael. Then the call ended. For several seconds, I simply stared at the phone, because after 6 years of silence, the man everyone believed had disappeared had just called me. Update 4. I called the number back immediately, straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. For the next 2 days, I heard absolutely nothing. Then, late Friday afternoon, another message arrived. Come alone. Below it was an address. An old marina about 40 minutes outside the city. Claire begged me not to go. What if it's a trap? It might be. But if Michael really is alive, I need answers. Saturday morning, I drove to the marina alone. The place looked abandoned. Old wooden docks, empty parking lot, a few fishing boats rocking gently in the water. Then I heard someone behind me. Ethan? I turned around. The man from the grocery store was standing there. Older than the photos Claire had shown me. More tired, but unmistakably, Michael. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally I asked, "Why are you doing this?" He sighed. "I'm not trying to destroy your marriage. I've been trying to save it." That wasn't the answer I expected. "What?" Michael looked down at the water. "Claire thinks I abandoned her. I didn't. I was set up." I stared at him. "Explain." He took a deep breath. 6 years ago, I found out someone had stolen money from the company where I worked. I reported it. A week later, I was arrested. My heart skipped a beat. They planted the evidence. By the time I proved I was innocent, everything was gone. My job, my reputation, my relationship. I was too ashamed to contact Claire. I frowned. "So why now?" He looked me straight in the eyes. "Because the man who framed me recently got out of prison. And before he disappeared, he admitted something." My stomach tightened. "What?" Michael's jaw clenched. "He was hired. Hired to ruin my life." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Hired by who?" Michael slowly reached into his jacket. He pulled out an old, worn folder. Inside were court records, bank statements, and a faded photograph. He handed me the photo. The moment I saw it, my blood ran cold. Standing beside the man who had framed Michael was someone I recognized immediately. Someone who had attended my wedding. Someone who had smiled while congratulating Claire and me. Her uncle, Richard. I looked back at Michael. "This has to be some kind of mistake." Michael shook his head. "I wish it were." He wanted Claire's inheritance. And as long as she was married to me, he couldn't control her family's business. I felt the world spinning. The anonymous messages, the DNA test, the photographs, none of it had been about jealousy. Someone had been trying to expose a crime that had destroyed multiple lives. And suddenly I understood why Richard had waited until now. Claire's father had passed away 6 months earlier. The family estate was finally being divided, and someone was desperate to keep the past buried. Final update. I drove home in complete silence. The folder Michael had given me sat on the passenger seat. Every few minutes I glanced at it, hoping somehow it would disappear. Didn't. For what? For letting my anger convince me you were part of this. I shook my head. You were trying to protect someone you once loved. I understand. He smiled sadly. And you're the man she was always supposed to find. When he left, Claire quietly reached for my hand. I almost let anonymous messages destroy us. I squeezed her hand. They didn't. They exposed the people who wanted to. A year later, we welcomed our second child into the world. This time, there were no anonymous messages. No hidden secrets. No doubts. Only happiness. Sometimes people ask me whether I regret taking that DNA test. I always give the same answer. No. Because the test didn't just prove I was my son's father. Proved something even more important. That the strongest marriages aren't built on never facing doubt. They're built on choosing to face the truth together. And in the end, the DNA test never destroyed our family. Saved it.